Thank you for joining us again on an episode of Inspired by Miss Amber Red. Today I have a special guest, Jacob, who came in from Texas, right?
Yeah, just outside Dallas.
Outside Dallas. And then we also have Sasha here. Sasha's always here with me. She's who keeps my life going.
The support animal. Emotional support animal. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, kind of wrong.
Yeah. No, but I love doing these and meeting all the guests, too.
I know, I keep saying you're going to be the co-host. It's fucking putting it off on me on this whole introduction thing. Anyways, so today I brought you on because I think our industry has been a shit show lately. Sorry to say it that way, but it has been. Everybody is discouraged. Everybody says they don't have enough time in their lives. Everybody says that basically there's no money to be made. There's all these things, right? First, I wanted to ask him an important question to get this going.
Let's break the ice.
So, because you do a lot of like motivational and art and no bullshit videos and things like that. So, if this is really important now, if you had to have one like mantra or one like tattooed on your forehead, what would you put there?
Do the work.
Do the work.
Do the work.
I knew he was going to say
right off the top.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So to give people a little history about like who you are, like what you've done, like some accomplishments. I know you love that, but
I mean, honestly, you've known me for a long time. I've always kind of just gone and did whatever I felt like doing. And my rule is basically it doesn't matter where you go or what you're doing. The only thing you take with you is you. So really, you know if you can and know if you can't before you leave. Because you make your mind up. You know, like when you decide you're going to pick up and move to LA, that was a decision you were made and you went. And whatever happens after that, it isn't good or bad, it's just now. And you have to deal with it.
and figure it out.
Yeah. So I started doing that when I was 17, and it's taken me all over the place. I've worked in tons of different industries. I mean, I remember making up stuff on resumes because I was applying to places that I didn't belong at. But I knew if I got hired, I'd be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the thing that most people struggle with. They would rather walk around the pool and like dip their toe in and feel the temperature or whatever. But I could walk around a pool for a half hour. It doesn't make the pool warmer.
Yeah.
I just wasted swimming time and sunlight because I was too scared to just jump in the pool. And so if you're going to go somewhere and do something, it's in the doing because that's where all the learning comes from. The planning is just a waste of time and an excuse not to do. And I wouldn't say that I wasn't afraid of anything. I just didn't think that whatever happened was something I wouldn't be able to deal with in the moment.
That's a good thing to have because I feel like a lot of people don't have that mindset or that feeling, you know?
I feel like everybody goes into everything with like a plan B, and it drives me fucking bananas because I'm like, you're already talking yourself out of it. Like, I feel like you already think that you can't do it.
Yeah.
And I keep telling myself, this is not the right way to say this to myself. But I'm always like, I haven't fucked up yet. I'm just going to figure it out along the way. But I'm like, so I probably should reword that because it's probably going to make me fuck up at some point. But maybe not. I don't know because it's worked out so far. But
I mean, even if you do, though, you know how to handle it when it happens. You're pretty good at that.
We're figuring it out on the spot. I think I'm good at figuring out stuff on the spot.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. It's hard to say that you haven't fucked up. I think, like I was just saying before, no situation you're in is inherently good or bad. It's just now. Like if you're short on rent, I'm short on rent. It isn't good or it isn't bad. It's today. And I got to figure out how not to be short on rent. And there's other people that get hung up on the moment. And that's what paralyzes them. Well, what if this? What if that? What if anything? What if it goes good?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And no one asks, like, what if it goes good? Because that's the ultimate goal. It's not, it's what if it fucks up? What if I go broke? What if I lose my house? You can do that doing anything else, too.
That's true.
You know?
I feel like sometimes the what if it goes good can be just as scary as what if it goes bad. I'm like, oh shit, like now what do we do with this?
Yeah, because you're not prepared for that, but you should be. That's where your mind should go initially. I'm guilty of that, of thinking of like the worst first, and then it stops me. So getting out of my own way is like really hard.
We were just talking to that guy in the like waiting room, and I told him, I was like, the largest group of people in the country I'm working on it. How many people do you know that have a side hustle they've been doing for a decade? And they always say it's going to be their main deal.
Yeah.
They're going to quit their job. But anytime you ask them when that is, they don't know. and they're like, I'm working on the right time. There's never a right time.
Right.
There's always going to be a new bill. There's always going to be something at your house that breaks. There's going to be a kid. There's going to be a marriage. There's going to be a vacation. There's going to be an illness.
So
it doesn't matter.
That's so true.
So either you're going to decide right now, I'm going to do this, or you can say I'm not going to. Both of them are fine. People, I think, back themselves into a corner and think, I can't work a 9 to 5 and be successful, because all of the real success and all that stuff is being your own boss. Ask anybody who is their own boss. They do not work 40 hours a week.
No.
I just took a deep breath.
Yeah.
The paychecks are not consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of work for the trade of stress that you get breaking into an industry is almost not worth it.
Yeah.
And you hear all of these people talk about break free. Like, it's not breaking free.
No.
You're chaining yourself to something different. And like,
Everyone's
I got to own this one.
Yeah.
Sasha's
like,
this
yeah.
sounds really familiar.
Yeah.
I think I hear this every other day from her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you build your own prison, so you're your own warden, if you will. But now there's employees that rely on you for their livelihood. And if you phone it in or call in sick or take a half day, everybody else gets burnt because you're not focused on what you're doing, because they rely on your brand to drive their dream.
You're literally describing.
That's
It's crazy.
my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
those are the things that when you own your own business and you sit at home, those are the things that worry you.
Yeah.
It's no longer my paycheck. It's the customers or the patients. It's the staff. It's like when people come to you for an opportunity, in their mind it's they want to buy their house. They want to buy new cars. They want to go on the vacations that they always thought about doing. They aren't worried about having a team or a staff or a brand. They want to be successful, and they're using you as a conduit to get that. That's where, like, once you're not the employee of your business and you've built something larger than that, the brand isn't about you anymore. It's about the people that you've brought in.
Yeah.
And that's where the stress starts to build up. Because if market drops or leads drop or your ads don't work as well as they were before, it's not my money that I'm worried about. Because, like, I've eaten ramen noodles and slept on a carpet before. I'm not worried about that. But I don't want my staff to go through that.
Yeah.
And so you go through extra stress just...
Yeah.
To
So
keep
everything
that,
that you're saying and feeling, so how, like, what's the benefit? What makes you guys want to stay
Yeah, what
in and
makes
stay
you wanna keep
motivated? Yeah,
going?
what makes you wake up every day if at the end of the day, those are overwhelming feelings, you
How
know?
many times have you been asked that?
I know. I literally am like, I don't know. I must be. There's something
It's
broken.
just-
I don't know.
I've always been
I don't have an answer.
a facilitator. And there's a Buddhist deal tied to capitalism. It's very negative if it's just for you. If your goal is to bring everybody with you, then there isn't anything wrong with being capitalistic, because now it benefits, the
Everyone.
community.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you operate on the right principles and you're doing things for the right reasons, ultimately you're going to get paid. But I get more joy out of hearing people enjoy that they like working for me, or they like the mission that we're on, or when they wake up, they're excited to come to work because of whatever situation that we've created.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I chase that, and ultimately the business you buy and ultimately will sell or license or franchise or whatever, it's going to allow you to buy your time back. So if I can create an atmosphere for everybody to want to wake up and come to work, I can pay them in the top 5% of the country for industry. They're getting what they're worth.
Yeah.
They can pay their bill. I mean, every other Friday off is a paid day off for my whole staff. We're not open every other Friday, and they get paid for that day. Why? Because who wants to worry about scheduling and taking time off to go to the doctor, or 3-day weekends or whatever? Other people own businesses think I'm crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, you give people a paid Friday off? I'm like, yeah, I have zero problems with scheduling.
Yeah.
Absolutely none.
Yeah.
But at the same time, those people with kids can go on field trips. They can take vacations and go to the lake. They can whatever. Sure, I could make more money if I was open on Friday.
Yeah.
But
what's the
pouring into
trade?
those people,
Yeah.
they're going to pour that much more back
Exactly.
into.
Yeah.
And so that for me, that's my answer. Is ultimately I'm going to be able to sell my businesses. They're going to be operating under an umbrella that they all helped create. Because none of the patients we see in the medical business even know I'm alive.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't have to be about me. I have to be the face of my business. I don't treat them. My staff does.
Yeah.
What I'm responsible for is creating the culture and the core value systems that everything gets operated by. So then if we do sell or whatever, they're going to continue working their jobs in their same roles, doing their same things at the same places, and then I get my time back and I can go do it again, or something.
Yeah, that's kind of like the vibe that we're on too, which is really nice to hear. So like that's our goal too, you know. And Amber does every other Saturday, or maybe once a month now, right?
Once a month.
Yeah,
And then Tuesdays working from home. Yeah, there's little perks.
yeah, so it's like little perks here and there, and then it makes me want to show up for her because she shows up for me in ways that I appreciate. So I understand that. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of people I think that own businesses that just crack whips. I mean, with mine, I hire a lot of medical assistants. I don't care what market you're in, the job turnover for medical assistants is asinine. There's still clinics that pay $12 an hour, 10 days. Because there's someone that needs a job that's going to say yes.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But the patient's never going to see the same person twice.
Right.
So what does that do to overall care or familiarity or whatever?
Shit.
But there's some people that want a cheap product. And so, or they want to stretch margins, or whoever's owning it doesn't necessarily care if people stay or go because they'll have a 3-hour wait in their lobby and they're okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, so whatever standard you want to run your business at, there's going to be a place for it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do that to somebody because it would be hard for me to sleep.
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
I was just about to say the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there one big lesson that you feel like you have learned that really like changed or developed like your mindset?
Yeah, you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
You really, I mean,
That's
I could be responsible. I could be responsible for every idea that we have. The people around me make the ideas better. And there could be an 18-year-old I hire that might give me the idea that would change the whole business. And I think it was hard for me. And I think I could say this for anybody who owns a business. You're traditionally your own bottleneck. If all of the ideas and decisions have to flow through you, a lot's not going to happen. You can't make all the sales. You can't do all the marketing. You can't train all the staff. You can't.
Yeah.
And if you hire someone to do a job, you need to let them do what you hired them to do. And a lot of people want to micromanage or stand over people or whatever. The problem with that is now they don't trust their own decision making. And you have to empower people to be wrong and to make mistakes. Because that's where coachable moments come from. And instead of going to them and being like, I can't believe you did that. You broke this. This is fucked up. It's walk me through how we got here. 9 times out of 10, they find it themselves. So now, not only I didn't come in and tell you what you did wrong and tell you what you should have done instead, you walked through the whole thing on your own. You found it on your own. And now I have an insight to the way that you look at situations. So if I have to coach you in the future, I know how your decision-making process operates.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier for me to come to you and be like, okay, I know that you usually lean towards more of an emotional response to a situation where things get excited. So I know for sure you're going to take this path if you run into this situation. Instead of doing that, take a step back, give it 5 seconds, and look at it for what it is. Now I'm not telling them that their way of doing it is stupid.
Yeah.
I'm not telling them that, whatever. I won't even... If one of my managers does something I wouldn't have done, I don't go over the manager and correct it. I let their decision ride. Because if I go over them, they lose all of their credibility with staff.
Yeah.
So I have to let them, they have to have that one. And in private, I have to be like, hey, I would have done this instead next time, and here's why. And they'll be like, okay, I'll do that for next time. But I didn't come in over the top of them and strip them of their authority and reset it, even though I want to.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to very badly.
It's hard about your tongue sometimes.
Yeah, but for the longevity of that position, that person, and their authority, it's the same way that they were before they were managers. You have to empower them to make a decision, make a choice, and be wrong, because you're not perfect either. And you only got to where you are in your business because you let yourself screw up.
Yeah.
So if you don't let your staff do that, how do they trust their own decision-making processes at work?
Yeah.
They won't. They'll freeze, and they will wait for you to tell them to do something. You can't scale a business with a bunch of people that stay still.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I kind of learned. I've been trying to do that with you sometimes. I'm like,
I know.
okay, I'm like, just
For the
handle
longest
it, just
time,
handle
like,
it. Like,
Sasha,
yeah, just do
I
it.
have ideas. Sasha, speak.
Then I'm like, ah.
Yeah, like, I guess so.
The more people you have at your table that are willing to contribute to an idea, the better the final idea is.
Yeah.
So,
And how much more you get out of a conversation by just letting others talk. I'm like, holy shit, we just figured it out in like 2 seconds when I've been trying to figure it out in 4 weeks.
Yeah, we always like say this is why we talk out loud, because you just something could be driving you crazy in your head, and then you talk to someone, they're like, well, we'll just do this way, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
that's how
Okay.
all the videos in Facebook actually started. So I used to do that, and I used to post them, but they were private. So like I could see my own videos in my car talking about stuff. It's like part of my process. Well, one day when I did it, I didn't mark it just for me and post it. And so someone messaged me like, why don't you do more of this? And I'm like, little do you know.
yeah, yeah,
And that was how it all started, probably 2.5, maybe 3 years ago now. Because it was me, like, I would go on like a rant fest about something I thought was stupid. And like whether or not it was relevant or something I should have even cared
Talking
about
about.
or even noticed.
Yeah.
I would just bitch about it because it would help me with my thought process on the situation itself.
yeah. So many people relate to you. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't even
No.
realize that everyone felt the same way.
Literally.
And it's like when you started, I remember when you first started doing permanent makeup working at that other shop. When you start thinking about going out on your own and then you start attending industry stuff with other people who have done it and you realize that they're dumber than you and have been doing it for longer than you and make more money than you do and they're absolutely stupid, you get mad because you haven't done it yet because you're waiting to feel like you know enough to do it.
Yeah.
But like these people with less of an IQ that can't solve a problem.
Yeah.
Or if they're just loud
And it's because they can't troubleshoot the fact they don't know enough.
Yeah.
They're too dumb to quit.
No. Yeah.
And so they
Yeah.
go and
It
do
works.
it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, so then you get into business 5 or 6 years after you should have.
Yeah.
And
You
like,
tried to tell me something here. You
No,
said I
like-
waited too long.
I was just telling him I feel the same way about myself.
Yeah.
Because I go to
Yeah.
networking events now, and these guys that are making $10 million a year are talking about stuff, and I'm like, you can barely finish a sentence.
Yeah.
How do you have a business this
Literally.
big?
Yeah. I know.
And it, like I said, they were too stupid not to do it.
Yeah.
Versus I was too smart to start.
yeah.
Like what does that mean?
I don't know.
Wild.
Sometimes I always say too, I'm like, I wish I had more like la 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 ness in my brain because everything I think is thought
Analytic,
through.
yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
like,
You're
but the
very
people,
analytic.
Yeah, very. And
I'm
I'm
a little
like,
like, let's figure it out. You're
yeah.
like, Amber, don't
I'm like,
do that.
first, have you thought even the first step yet? But yeah, but so for some reason, those people who are just more free in that term,
Yeah.
it's because they tried. They just did it
Well,
first.
so
you know?
what's funny is like if you're analytical, right? When you go to break a process down, it's all concept, isn't it? It's not real.
No, yeah, that's true.
It's your imagination.
Like
No, yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Doing it to ourselves, yeah.
Yeah,
So
'cause-
when you sit down and go, well, if I do this, what can happen? Well, shit, anything.
Yeah.
So
my
like
problem,
whatever
I
frame
know.
of mind
Anything
you're
can-
in right now
Yeah.
will dictate how you write out this list of things that are going to happen if you do it.
Yeah.
If you're just like, if you walk into it and you can't shred the idea in the first 10 seconds you think about it, it's pretty safe. Because if you think about getting a president, we only need 51% of people to vote for them to be president. The only, like, let's say we made a bad decision, we have a bad president. Like, we can pick a different president the next time we have a choice. It's the same thing with what you do in life. If you do nothing, you don't get to the next decision to calibrate for the mistake on the first one. You have to make the choice. It's not going to ruin your life.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, unless like deciding to start heroin or something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's-
but like life or
not
death
what we're
thing.
talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
But the first decision you make takes you to the next fork in the road. And at the next fork in the road, if the first decision wasn't perfect, you can be like, okay, probably need to dial this back a little bit, and maybe we'll go this way next time. There's no fork in the road that you're going to be 100% sure left or right is right, but also not going left or right is a choice. And people don't think it is. You're choosing to do nothing. And then you wonder why you're stuck.
So for someone like me, where I get paralyzed with that thought to make that first step, like for you, how do you even get past that? You just say,
it's internal conversation, literally.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Like, instead of,
because I don't have that internal conversation, really. It's more like think it through, not just.
So self-talk is one of the things I think people don't focus enough on. And when I talk about self-talk, I'm literally talking about the voice in your head. There's times the way that you talk to yourself, if a stranger did it on the street, you would break their fucking face. But the thing is, you're allowed to do that multiple times a day because it's you.
Yeah.
It isn't the stranger coming up and saying all this negative stuff. So if you learn how to shape and frame the way that you address like struggles you're having, it will change the way that you see possibility. So I did actually funny story. I was getting gas in my Lamborghini in Dallas. The 16-year-old kid who's first generation from Africa walks up and does the normal, can I ask you a question? And usually it's like, what do you do for work? Or how do you get this car, right? So he goes, this, it'll take me a second to explain it. But like, long story short, his parents want him to be a lawyer or, a doctor or whatever. They're from Kenya. He's like, I don't want to do that. And I don't know how to tell them. I don't want to do that. And I'm like, what do you want to do? He goes, honestly, I would like to work on helping kids understand credit coming out of high school. Like, that's something that I'm passionate about, whatever. And I was like, what are you doing right now? He's like, I'm going to get my hair cut. Like, what are you doing after your haircut? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, we're going to shoot a podcast up the street. There's 3 of us that have all different backgrounds. Why don't we come up? We'll let you run the whole episode, and you can just ask us anything you want. So he actually showed up.
That's cool.
And so, like, during the thing, we were talking about process. And we were asking him, like, do you have social media? And he was like, well, yeah, but I canceled it. Well, like, if you're going to educate people on credit, you need a platform.
You got it.
Like, turn that stuff back on.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking, like, he tells us he's, like, this really good cross-country runner, and he's ranked nationally and all this stuff. I'm like, why aren't you doing content about being a good runner?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I've never done it before. And so I gave him this analogy. I was like, if you order a bookshelf from IKEA and it gets sent to your house, when you open it to put it together, the instructions look like they were done in like half a pencil by a 5-year-old. There's no words. There's nothing. Yeah. And like, you don't even want to do it.
Yeah.
So you start getting on the ground, you're putting this bookshelf together, and you're cutting your fingers open. You put the shelf on upside down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So hour and a half later, you have a bookshelf. And the thing about it is you put all your books out on there now, and you don't have enough space. So you have to order a second bookshelf. The experience of the first bookshelf means you're going to build the second one twice as fast. And so I was like, if you've never done something before, going and asking somebody how to do it, how do you think they learned it? They did it. So you can't say I don't have a process for this because you've been creating processes since you could crawl. The first time that you crawled, it's a process in your head on how balance worked and to be able to walk on your hands and your knees. When you got on your feet, there was a process internally that you came up with that showed you how to walk. The way you brush your teeth, you do it the same every time, right? That's a system. So you didn't have a system before you could brush your teeth. When you make a bowl of cereal, is it milk first or is it cereal first?
Oh, someone puts milk first?
That is weird.
Sorry.
But I'm just saying, like,
I know.
however you do it is and you can explain explicitly why you do it that way. The thing is, like, driving to the grocery store from where you live. You don't go the same route now that you did when you first moved in. You didn't know enough about the traffic patterns. So you've adjusted your system to fit efficiency. That doesn't mean that you're not going to get stuck behind a wreck or something here and there, but statistically, it's still the best way to do it. So that's where most people get frozen, is they don't have a process for it. And that's what goes back to the internal conversation piece. If every time I walk up to something and I don't have a system for it, it's I can't do this, I don't know how, versus what would be the best way to start this? Like, what does the system look like to do this? Where can I get this system from if I can't come up with it? You're saying the same thing. I don't know how to do this. One is very empowered and I'm going to figure it out. And the other one is very, I'm not going to try. This doesn't make any sense. And so when you get stuck in a position like that, instead of talking to yourself about why this is frustrating and why it's hard, it needs to be more about what tools do I need to do this?
Like listening to you talk, I'm thinking, because when I do have a challenge or something I need to figure out, I do see the steps. Like I do see the steps I need to take, and that doesn't scare me. I think more like, let's say like my website stuff, Amber's pushing me to do more website stuff on my own. And I was telling her like, I don't know, I don't feel like the confidence that I understand the looks or like can make graphics and things like that. Yeah, so I think maybe it's more on the confidence side to take that first step, to learn that process. I get paralyzed with that thought. And I don't know if I necessarily say I can't do it, but I kind of just talk myself out of it a little bit. I guess that's kind of saying you can't do it, but I don't know how to get to that, like, hell yeah, I'll create a website. Yeah, I'll create a graphic. I don't know if it's because I'm still in the learning phase of that.
But how many things in your life are you like that about?
I probably...
A lot.
Yeah.
You just don't have the wall up.
Yeah.
Because maybe the way that you look at it is it's less important. So you're like,
Okay.
oh, if I do this wrong, this is a career-shattering moment.
Yeah.
You know how many people have made terrible websites?
Yeah.
People still pay them to make websites.
I always been kind of like mistakes
that
freak
aren't
me
good
out.
at it too,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm like, on that note, how
Yeah.
many people have we seen who are like,
Yeah, and I'm like, I could totally do that, but to just put myself out there to take that first step to learn
this
the
is something
process.
very simple that I've done
Yeah.
with myself my whole life, and I don't know when it started, but somewhere along the line, every single time I've ever had a negative thought, I'm very like aware when a negative thought comes in,
Yeah.
and I don't care what positive thought it is, I replace it with a positive thought. It's a rule that I've always had with myself. I don't know
That's a
if maybe
good
that
rule.
would help you
Yeah.
to like get past it.
No, that's a good rule.
It's not as good
yeah.
as his analogies.
No,
but that's a
no,
simple
I
thing
mean,
I've
that
done
makes
for
sense.
myself that was like
But that's
helpful.
it's the same thing.
Yeah, because I don't backtrack. Like it's like, okay, well, why are you saying that? Now come in with the positive thought. Of,
The crazy
stop.
part about it is if you say, why are you saying that? Most of the time you won't have an answer.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm
There's
like,
no pattern of
you're silly.
behavior
Yeah.
that led you to, I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
That's just something you've kind of decided.
Do you think that like that comes? I don't know. Comes with age, maybe? Like learning to just
No, I mean, so
Go
again,
for it?
if you knew me when I was 17, I didn't have the same mindset I do now.
Mm-hmm.
I was more of a people pleaser back then. I was more of a
develop it.
follower. I was very worried about what people saw when they looked at me. I mean, shit, I probably, working in nightclubs and stuff, I almost had a character that I played. The people that knew me in my personal life, that wasn't me. But when I was around those people,
Yeah.
that's who came out.
yeah.
Because it was my way of fitting in.
Yeah.
And so when I lived in Santa Monica, we came home from like Avalon, me and my buddy Eddie at like 10 in the morning or something stupid. I took a small nap and I woke up and I was like, this is stupid. Like, what am I doing? Like, this isn't even fun. But it is all I had known. I mean, I started going to nightclubs when I was 15. So on the weekends, we went to bars and we went to nightclubs because that was what I did. It wasn't until that Sunday where I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. There isn't a real clear goal. I was making plenty of money. There was no end
Yeah.
coming. I had no vision, no nothing. From that, like, I actually called both of my parents and apologized for being an asshole when I was younger.
Oh, you
On
just
that
had a
day.
moment, huh? You're
Yeah.
like realization.
And then, like,
Today's the day.
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
And I cut everybody off and quit hanging out with all the people I did that. Now that
Yeah.
didn't put me in a good place. It was very difficult.
I mean,
I
because
was
it's a huge
very
change in your life.
alone.
Yeah.
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 And I would even try and go and do the stuff that we did when we were drinking. Like bowling. Bowling is not fun, not drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm paying to throw a ball down a lane as few times as possible, stone sober. What? This
You're like, what am I doing?
Yeah, why am I here? Like,
Funny.
but so that's being self-aware.
Yeah.
Like, you're understanding what makes you happy, what drives you, what things set you off. And I don't think we spend enough time with ourselves in order to even understand it. People are like, oh, I can't be alone with myself because I get depressed. No, that sadness is telling you something. It's like when you get a headache, something's wrong, you need to take a nap. But instead we take aspirin. Like, whatever
Or drink
to
more
mask
water.
it.
Yeah.
All we're doing is masking it, and the pain's going to come back when it wears off.
Yeah.
And so the sooner that you come to terms with those types of things, that you know what brings you joy and why it brings you joy and what doesn't, and what things you're using to mask those types of pains. I mean, I'm not really a people person. I'm pretty introverted. I did tons of extroverted shit just because I thought that was how I was going to fit in.
Yeah.
And then when I shut it all off, like, people are like, I don't even know you. I'm like, I didn't know me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
Yeah.
Just figuring
I'm
it out.
figuring it out.
Yeah.
And that self-awareness, where when you know that you're having a negative thought, to replace it with something positive, it comes from spending time with yourself.
I love time by myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
being alone is
That
not a
comes with
problem.
age.
Yeah, but being alone is not a
Quiet,
problem. I'm like, I'll do it all day. Maybe a little too much, but
Yeah. But it's, you shouldn't be afraid of your own mind. You shouldn't be afraid of negative thoughts. They should be challenges.
yeah,
They shouldn't take over. And I think that's where people get stuck.
yeah. I think I'm kind of like in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. Let it, take over. But
And sometimes it
getting
doesn't
better.
hurt if you have the time just to do it. Like, learning foreign languages is hard for me because I don't want to do it unless I sound like I'm perfect at it.
yeah,
That's a problem that I have. I'll never be perfect at anything.
that's funny you say that because I always say if I'm not going to do it 100%, I'm not going to do it at all.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Either I'm in or I'm out.
It's, yeah, yeah.
And it's like, I know enough Spanish to probably get through some social situations, but I can't roll the N the right way or the R. I
Yeah.
won't do it, and I'll freeze in the moment
Yeah.
because I don't want to sound like I'm some white dude that knows some Spanish.
Me, I just
Yeah.
make it sound even worse.
Yeah.
Husband's
Do it on purpose.
Mexican, and I'm like, he's like, how do you say that? Porta Vallarta.
Yeah.
So that's how I say that.
Just own it that you're saying
I
it
do. I
wrong.
just make
Yeah.
it even worse. I'm like, you like that? You like that, don't you? He's like, you're such an asshole.
It's funny.
And that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I just, and unless I can make it funny
Yeah.
or whatever, I don't want to do it.
Same. If you can't joke about it
No.
and like unease the uncomfortableness,
Yeah.
I do use that a little bit to
Yeah.
just like get by things sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
Self-deprecate so
Yeah.
other people can't make fun of you.
Yeah.
I'm already laughing at myself. It's fine.
Yeah. If I beat you to it, you
It's
can't.
so funny.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All
Well,
right.
yeah. Thanks for the.
Yeah, insight. I
yeah,
feel like we
insight,
didn't
yeah.
even get to scratch the surface.
I know.
So
I'm here
kinda-
interviewing you now.
I
I'm like,
know.
okay, what
I
more
was
you
like,
got?
Let me just sit
Like-
back. Sasha's using him as like what she's figuring out her life right now.
Well, because I just think it's so interesting, like you and you that you guys have this mindset of just like go for it and worry about it later, And I'm trying to get there,
you
but
have
it's
to
hard.
because like you're saying, like what's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah, but that's the thing. I will find
But
it.
you have
you
no,
know?
you don't know though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like,
But to me, I know. See, that's why I'm like, what?
So there was a guy I worked
Stop.
with at a law firm in Chicago, and his nickname was Party Monster. And he's an older guy, super awesome, very eccentric. And one day he came up and asked me, he's like, I want to go on more dates. I was like, okay. And I was like, well, how many people are you asking out? He's like, well, none. Well, how are you going to go on dates?
Sasha over here looking for her husband and ain't even leaving her house.
He's gonna knock on my door. I just know it. I know it.
So he goes, well, I'm afraid. I'm like, afraid of what? He's like, well, what if they say no? I'm like, let's just break this down logically. Do you have dinner plans tonight? No. If she says no, do you have dinner plans tonight? Well, no. So what changed?
Yeah.
He goes, well, she said no. I go, well, then you can rule her out completely moving forward. So you don't have dinner plans, which you didn't have any anyway. And now you know for sure that you won't ever have dinner plans with this one person. I was like, it's literally a numbers game.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, how do I know who to ask out? I go, in your brain, you'd be like, oh, I want to get to know that person. Then go and ask them. And he was like, well, that just sounds too simple. I go, because it is.
It is. Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
And he started, I actually asked him to catalog it and then tell me about it.
Yeah. You get some good
And,
results.
and so he would be like, yeah, I asked a girl out at the bus station today or whatever. And he's like, what did she say? He's like, she said yes. He goes, I've gone on some dates. Sometimes I've gotten stood up. I'm like, but are you comfortable with the process now? He goes, oh, yeah, it's really easy.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
what it
Yeah.
is. Start.
You just gotta do it once. Yeah. Just do it once. I know.
But
I
again,
know.
what
It's like that
happens?
bookshelf that we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's easier.
It's like he started to build a system for asking people on dates. And it's just as simple as doing it. You like riding a bike, you wanted to ride a bike really badly, right? And I don't want training wheels. And your parents are like, you probably should have training wheels. You're like, I want anybody to see me with them. So you ride your bike into a bush because you don't have training wheels and you don't know what you're doing. But you did it anyway because you want to learn how to ride a bike. If you want something as badly as you wanted to ride a bike, you just get on the bike. Let's say you decided you're going to try a website thing that you've never done before, and you're just going to make it. Who's going to see it?
No one has to see it unless I let them see it, right? Yeah, that's true.
But it's, again, like if you're learning how to ride your bike in a back alley, no one saw you run into the bush. You're going to have to explain all the scratches and shit. But, no one actually saw it.
Just in a draft.
It's no different.
Put it in a draft.
That's all it is. And you've got people you trust that you could show it to. You know, that aren't the people that would necessarily be your demographic you're trying to sell it to. But at least they're, a sounding board or a whiteboard that you can bounce.
She has a choice. I'm just going to push her out there and say go.
Which is crazy.
I've already been doing it a little here and there.
But it's crazy because I'm like, I hope a little inspired. You know, it's like I know how to do it. It's just so, I don't know. It's just getting out of my own head. I know. She's going to
have to stand over you and micromanage your personal growth.
No, literally, she does.
I'm like, come on, what are we doing here?
No, she's pushing me all the time,
and
I appreciate it.
A big personality too. Like she's like
when people say that because I think I'm the quietest person.
Well, it depends on if they get you started or not.
That's true. That's true.
Because I'm the same way. I can stand and lean against the wall and have nothing happen.
That's true.
But I'll end up getting engaged, and then I wind up with a circle of people around me, and then I'm tired when it's done.
Oh exhausted.
Well, so the lesson is go for it.
So you guys are coming back for another episode. You just come back to Vegas because I feel like we have a lot more to talk about. We could probably just call.
I could pick your brain all day long, but
I know,
unfortunately, not enough time.
Maybe next time we plan for an hour episode. All right, cool.
I'd be down.
Do you have any final questions?
Honestly,
use them while you got it.
I'll ask them next time. I'm sure I'll get more.
She's gonna have a whole list. Sasha will. She writes.
See, I just gotta think it through, but it's okay.
Do you have any final thoughts? Any last little bits that you think is like game changing that somebody would be
appreciative of knowing?
Actually, one of the things I've been talking to, I'm part of like a men's like accountability group, and a lot of the guys that are in the group have had substance abuse issues in the past or even anger problems. And when you're talking about working on stuff like that, and this all kind of tie together for the topic we've been on, is there's a difference between saying that you want something to change and putting activity in it versus deciding that you're not going to do it anymore. And I don't mean to make it like somber with, anger and alcohol, but they're two that people have experience with, so I usually lean into that. If someone tells you they're not going to drink anymore, there's a lot of accountability from everybody around them because they chose this. Versus someone saying, I need to chill out on it, or, I need to reduce it over time, because there are no rules for that. So if there's something that you're trying to change in your life, whether it's fitness, whether it's food, whether it's business related, whether it's alcohol or anger or whatever, make a decision and tell people what your decision was. Make it vocal. Because if everybody around you that cares about you knows that you're trying to make these changes, it's very easy for them to hold you accountable to it because they don't have the same demons that you have inside that push you away from it. So if you tell people like, hey, I eat too much Chick-fil-A, like if you see me with it, throw it away. And they will. And it will piss you the fuck off. But they'll do it. So anything that you want to do in life, the first step to anything is actually choosing it, whatever it's going to be. If you have a troubled relationship or a troubled marriage, choose your relationship and then have things in place to hold you accountable to doing that. Living by like loose rules and big boxes that you can kind of bang around in, it's not a commitment to anything. Really all you're doing is convincing yourself that it's okay to keep the behavior set you have because you haven't really committed to a change. Am I explaining that?
No, totally. So
that would be my thing to anybody is if you're gonna do something or whatever, actually pick it.
Yeah.
Consciously choose it.
This group that you're talking about is like a Facebook group or something that's in person? Or?
Yeah, it's it runs on Facebook.
Okay.
I know that there's a women's one too. I'm obviously not part of that.
Yeah. Is this your group or just something you're part of?
It's a buddy of mine's.
Oh, okay.
I'm not really in there as like a paid member.
Mm.
I'm kind of in there because I'm one of the only people that really gives it to people straight.
Mm.
There's a lot of ass slapping and high fiving that goes on in society.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm the person that's like, no. You don't got this. This is fucking stupid. Like, back it up.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's a time and a place for high fives and stuff. But sometimes you'll have someone that will talk about money problems they're having. And they're like, I got to make this much this year in order to do this, this, and this. And then month one, they were supposed to do 27 grand and they did 3 grand.
Yeah.
And then like they're posting a picture that they're having a family day on Saturday at the beach. And it's like, I'm doing a reset. There is no reset, dude. You don't get to make excuses for that.
Yeah.
And if your wife doesn't work and you're the breadwinner, your household schedule needs to surround around you. And if you're not able to provide for them, it's going to cause a whole bunch of other problems that are ancillary that you don't need.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to understand that, dad's got to go out and put flyers on doors and knock on stuff and hit cork boards and make phone calls, and you guys can go to the beach.
Yeah.
But they don't look at it like that. Everybody else in the group is like, get back after it on Monday.
At least you're
you
trying.
didn't get back after it all of January.
Yeah.
How did you make 10% of goal?
Yeah.
And you need a reset day?
Yeah.
Right.
And
Get the fuck out of
It's like
here.
an excuse you tell yourself almost like, I can reset. I'll be fine.
You're the buyer
Yeah.
and the seller in the situation.
Yeah.
You can sell yourself anything that you fucking want
We
to.
see that all the time.
Because you frame it.
Yeah.
You can frame it in a way that you know that you'll accept it. And that's where the problem starts. And that's what I was saying before. Like, if you choose something and you put that out into your network of people, you're not going to have a choice at some point if those people really have your back. Because there's going to be someone like me that's like, no, get the fuck up and do what you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Because most people don't have that person. They've got the people that want to pat their back and tell them it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
The world keeps doing whatever the fuck it's going to do. The world and the universe does not care that you're sad. They don't care that you had a tough week. It's still going to keep coming at you and kicking your ass because it doesn't have breaks.
Yep.
So you can take a break and then you just hope that the universe will take it easy on you
Still
that day.
there, and here's more to handle.
Yeah. No.
You can't run from any of it.
No.
It doesn't matter what you do.
So handle it.
So handle it.
Handle it.
All right.
We're done?
Everything. I don't want to, but yeah, I guess
know.
so.
Well, where can they find you on your
Yeah.
social media? Instagram?
Yeah.
Or do you
all
want
my-
people to find you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually been funny because I think I only have like 3,000 friends on Facebook. I have
a
like
lot.
6,000
Yeah,
or
just-
6,500 followers. I don't even know where they came from.
Yeah, I was looking at mine the other day too. I was like, "What the hell?
Yeah.
7,500? Who are you people?
Yeah,
You weirdos?
and
I
I'm-
see you looking."
I'm cool with it. Like if anything I say resonates with anybody at any point, great.
Yeah.
I don't have a product to sell anybody. I don't have a mastermind. There's no course. All the stuff that I'm putting out's just in the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's my first and last name on everything.
We'll drop all that info too.
Yeah, in the description.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. You have Tanya's part this time, so get ready
shoot.
for it. Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Inspired. And Sasha,
Like, comment, share, and subscribe.
see you guys later.